All right. Hi, I'm consistent. So I just got back from A Quiet Place Part 2, and I figured I would sit down and shoot a review for it. Now, I'm not really the biggest fan of A Quiet Place Part 1. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good idea that wasn't exactly the most well executed. I had a lot of problems with stuff like uh, sort of the times that it went away from the premise of everything being like completely silent. Sometimes the music I thought was a little intrusive. There were times when I thought certainly the creatures were a bit ridiculous and I didn't really like the design, and I feel like there were just a lot of things that kept me from thinking that it was like a really great like execution of a really good idea, which is this family who has to stay quiet the entire time because there are creatures that will come and attack and kill them if they hear literally anything. So that's kind of how I feel about the first one, and with this one, I wasn't exactly like super excited for it because I'm not a gigantic fan of the first one, but I was excited to see something in a theater finally again, and I thought it was good. I thought it was probably around the same level as the first film. I thought maybe even a little bit less. I had a couple problems that are very similar to the first film. That mostly being the fact that I'm not really scared by the monsters. I'm not really scared by a lot of scenes in this movie that end up being things like jump scares. There's a lot of stuff like that. That's probably my main criticism of the film, is that the entire time it really like doesn't hold that same like consistent level of scariness. There were some scenes that I thought were like pretty well done. There's a lot of moments where they're anticipating a monster showing up, and that is sort of what's actually scary. There hasn't one showing up yet, but a character is in a situation where maybe they might let out a scream from pain or something like that. And that was really like the most effective scenes of the movie whenever they showed up, because it was the implication of it. It felt like I was actually like with them, like, don't scream, something's gonna show up. So that was probably the most engaging part of the movie for me. I also did really like the whole cast. They were good, like in the first film. I don't know who plays the daughter. She's really good. Emily Blunt's great. Who I thought really stood out here was Killian Murphy. He is just a great actor in general. I really love him, and I really took to his character like immediately, which is kind of surprising because he just sort of shows up. He wasn't in the first film. He's just here all of a sudden. And I don't know if it's necessarily the writing, but I think him as an actor just, he really sold it. I really liked him. There were other problems that I had with the movie that I sort of mentioned with the first film, which is why I sort of think they're not really like, they're not really like vastly different in terms of quality or really in terms of like the movies that they actually are. That being the music, I thought it wasn't exactly handled super well in here, just like the first film. There were parts towards the end of the movie where I thought the music was okay, but it just, whenever it went into like these big like cello swells and like all of these like, it felt like it was sort of forcing an emotion on you, when I thought that the tension and everything from the scenes that are completely silent were much better, much more effective. That really took me out, sort of like the first film. And yeah, I feel kind of mixed about this movie. I did think that it was fun. I had a good time with it. I was slightly annoyed by the people in the theater because there were a lot of teenagers there. Everyone seemed very excited to be at the theater again, which I can't blame them for, but also it got a bit hard in a movie where all the like little dialogue is there is whispered and it's hard to hear. That that affected my experience a little bit, but that's not obviously reflective on the film. I thought that it was, still like an interesting idea, and the scary parts are certainly a lot of fun to watch, especially in a theater where people are actually like reacting to stuff. I still haven't rewatched the first one. I honestly don't know what it would be like watching it by myself in my home. I feel like these movies are much better in the theater, so I would recommend, if you want to see it, go see it in the theater. Um, in terms of anything else that I sort of felt, I thought the third act was a bit rushed. It sort of feels like, before I watched the movie, I looked up and saw that it was 97 minutes. I was like, okay, that makes sense. I don't remember how long the first film was, but I wouldn't expect this to be like, you know, a 2.5 hour epic or anything. But it really felt like once they sort of transitioned into what the movie was going to become towards the end, it was like they like quickly had to like wrap up stuff. There was one element of the plot that I thought was really contrived whenever it's kind of a small thing, but something that they bring in to like move stuff along once it like slows down at the beginning of the third act. I thought that was really kind of dumb. And then yeah, the rest of it just sort of felt like they had to like wrap things up. um, I was a little disappointed by that. The ending is certainly like incredibly abrupt, which I think is, I wouldn't have had a problem with it if everything right before that didn't feel like they were like rushing to finish the film and to get you out of the theater, which is, it just wasn't, that didn't work for me. Um, but yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it. I was a little bit disappointed as to where it went. I don't know if there's going to be another one of these. I would be interested. I want to see John Krasinski do more stuff, but I would rather him not do more like Quiet Place stuff. I want to see him actually like make other films, grow as like a filmmaker, because I feel like he just got to do pretty much the same thing that he did in the first film, just again here. And that's really my thoughts on this movie. It's good. I would recommend seeing it if you were a fan of the first film. I really think it will be like, however you felt about that one, you are probably going to feel similar about this. Maybe like slightly more positive or slightly less, I'm not sure. But that's pretty much how I felt about it. I wasn't a gigantic fan. I had some fun. It was nice to just be in the theater again outside my house and actually seeing something. But yeah, that's pretty much how I felt. I would give this film, I would say, a decent to strong 6. I think it's good. I think it's okay to see and have fun with, but it just wasn't really my thing. And I feel like the third act probably put it under the first film for me. And yeah, that's just kind of how I felt. It was a good experience. I will say that. Um, so yeah, that's how I felt about Quiet Place Part 2. Again, just it is what it is. I'm going to try to be filming more of these. I'm going to be seeing Cruella tomorrow, so there's probably going to be another review up soon for that movie. And then I'll just try to like actually shoot reviews for things that I see throughout the year, because I've been slacking on that. I might even review some stuff that I've already seen this year. Who knows? I want to get back on this. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you thought of A Quiet Place 2 down below in the comments. If you saw it, if you have any types of feelings about it, if you have any feelings about the first movie, if you're excited for this, all of that stuff. And that's it. Thanks for watching.